Hi everyone, this is Kaery with the Active Self-Protection Extra channel and Kaery Concealed and the Active Self-Protection Certification Program.
Filster is one of my trusted holster makers with great offerings like the Floodlight and trauma medical equipment to keep you and your loved ones safe. They're one of the few companies that I trust to make a quality product at a good price, and I thank them for sponsoring today's video.
And I am here today to visit with one of our instructor certification graduates. This is Natalie Widener.
Hi.
And I have a list of questions to ask her. It's the same questions that I've been asking the other graduates of the program. And so let's come back here in just a minute and see what she has to say. Let me do a pause. Okay, are you ready? I never know if I'm supposed to look at that. I always look at the person.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of look at you and then at them.
Oh, back and forth.
Yeah,
oh,
a
okay.
little bit back.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Mr. Tyler did that good the other day.
He did. He did.
All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Nat, my first question for you is tell us a bit about yourself and the type of teaching you do. Where do you do most of your teaching, and what is your favorite type of student to teach?
Right. Yeah. So break that down for me. What's the first one?
You bet. I'm glad you asked. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of teaching that you do.
Right. Yeah. So, well, I've been working with active self-protection for a while. I worked at a gun range for a while. I typically like working with newer students. I really can just relate to them in a good way. And so, my background was kind of in 4-H competition shooting with my dad and my sister, and that was always so much fun. We did it for, I think, 4 or 5 years or something like that, and it was 3 times a week. So I got pretty used to being on a gun range and being on the firing line, and as me and my sister Madison, we got, a couple years into this, and, the instructors knew us as well as they knew each other, and they knew that we could watch for different problems, different safety problems, like kids taking guns out where they shouldn't and stuff like that. So we both kind of became range monkeys a little bit, just kind of an extra set of eyes and ears and hands to help out. So I think that the type of teaching I do best is teamwork teaching, kind of working with other people and picking up the slack in some places and letting other people shine in the other places. I think that's really when students learn the best. So that's the kind of teaching I like to do. When I was working at the Alliance, there was a lot of teamwork teaching like that. So that's kind of what my background's been and what I'm comfortable with.
I love it.
Yeah.
We were talking, so Nat and I are we're in Oklahoma, and we're teaching at the Guardian Conference this year.
Yep.
And Nat is co-instructing with me here. And we were talking this morning on the way in about how awesome it is. I think one of my favorite things about the Active Self-Protection team is that when we go somewhere to train, when we're invited places to go train people at conferences and that sort of thing, we travel deep. And so we'll take 2, 3, 4 instructors with us to go train. We might even be in a place where we have, 1 instructor for 2 students or 1 instructor for 3 students. And it's so great for our students. Yesterday we were teaching and Mr. AJ Zito had a break and came and joined us on the range. I'm so thankful he did.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Oh, it was. And we had a student in that particular class that really needed his specific help with what she was struggling with. And had he not been there, she would not have had the result that she had. And so awesome that it worked out. So I'm with you. I love the team teaching. All right. So do you have a favorite type of student that you like to teach?
I do. There's 2 different specific students that I really like teaching. I really like teaching young women who are, taking their first classes. We actually got to do that this weekend. There was a young lady who this was her first professional level class. She'd only ever learned from her husband before, who is a good egg. He's a volunteer here. He's on staff. So good instruction, but she'd just never had her first class before. And I remember I texted my best friend last night and I said, there's a young girl here. It's her first class, and it's me and Kaery teaching. Like, I did it. This is why I started my career. And she's been in our class every day so far for this weekend, so it's been great to get to know her and everything.
She's made some great progress, too.
She really
from
has.
never having drawn her gun from holster, from never having worn a gun before.
Yep.
Man, she's just killing it.
Yeah, if you've been following the Range Monkey channel for a while and you remember my draw to first shot, my first ever draw from a holster and actually live firing the gun, I think it was like 7.8 seconds or something like that. So not great, but it's your first
That's
one,
where you
know?
start.
That's where you start. And she started the day at 5.25.
Yep.
And she ended the day with 1.25.
Yep.
A 1.25 draw to first shot. And it just felt so cool to be able to help her get there.
And that was after just 3 hours.
Yeah, after just 3 hours, and getting to see the gears turn in her head and see things start making sense. It's just, it's relatable because I've been there. I've had those questions. I have needed those answers, and so it's really nice to be able to help out in that way. And then my other favorite kind of student to teach, it's a little bit petty. I really, really like teaching the older guys that don't think they can learn anything from me.
We've had a few of those today.
We've had a few of those too, yeah. It's just, there's really easy, low-hanging fruit there because all of their instructors so far, all of those, you know, that specific type of person I'm talking about, the instructors that they've learned from so far, none of them are like me.
Yes.
None of them have taught them anything that I have to say. I know what their instructors have taught them.
Sure.
I know what their dads and their grandpas have taught them, and their law enforcement brothers, you know, but I have learned with some of the best national instructors. I learned with a bunch of different types of instructors like Brian Hill to Carrie Dudenhofer to all these different kinds of people that train in different ways. And so there's so many things that I can tell those guys that can help bring their groups down. And, you know, they don't know about the pinkies yet.
Right.
And there's so many good things. And I can get them on my side by the end of it. And then I think I open up that student's eyes a little bit to consider other instructors.
Yes.
So I think I
yes.
can kind of help out my other ladies in the industry in that way. So I think those would be my two favorite.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm there with you. All right. So, what is different about you and or your teaching since you've graduated from Aspic? I know you're a recent grad. It was just been a couple months
Yep.
ago.
Yep.
But what are some things that may be different about you or your teaching since Aspic?
Right. Yeah, and well, I noticed changes immediately in multiple areas of my life ever since I started the cohort. And I was noticing I was working at a chiropractor while I was taking that cohort. And that was a lot of balls to juggle all at the same time. But that chiropractic company had been just starting from kind of the ground up. You know, they were about 6 years in. So they had a good platform, but they didn't have the employees taught what they needed to be taught. And so I was actually able to step in and be like, hey, this is kind of how we can teach people to do this, because I have never stepped foot in the chiropractic world. I had to learn what all the words were. I had to learn anatomy all over again and learn how to sound like I know what I'm talking about, you know? And so I was brand new, and I was telling them, you know, hey, I don't know anything about this, and you guys have taught me a lot in these past few weeks. I think I can make a curriculum for you guys to teach these new people, so that there's not so much, you know, here, go home and read these books and read these scripts and stuff. So I'm able to help out in multiple ways now. And then reading, I think it was with Winning in Mind by Elaine Basham.
Yep.
I just started to feel, and it was What the Best College Teachers Do as well. Who wrote that?
Ken Bain.
Ken Bain, yep. Both of those books just talked about how we need multiple types of people doing multiple types of things, because students might learn a heck of a lot of things from one kind of instructor, and they might not learn anything from a different kind of instructor. And so we have to be able to kind of chameleon into different ways to be able to reach different students. Because, you know, that guy that thinks he can't learn anything from me, I have to change up my tone a little bit to get him to take me seriously and to actually consider, to lean into the weird, as we say, and to embrace it a little bit. And so just reading those books, it made me realize, like, I do have a seat at this table.
Amen.
I am able to help people. I am able to help people get over those hurdles that they don't think they can get over just because they haven't had the instruction that they need yet.
Yeah.
And if I can't do it, I now have a whole cohort of people. I now have just a bunch of really close friends that have gone through this development with me, and I can say, you know, that's actually something that I'm not great at teaching, but you know who is? AJ Zito. Let me go grab him so he can help you with your red dot and adjusting that. It's nice to be able to feel like I do know what I'm talking about.
Get that confirmation of it.
The confirmation of it, yeah, even if it doesn't always feel like it, because we all struggle with imposter syndrome in one way or another, whether it's in this career or not. And that's just always kind of been something that I've struggled with, being a younger woman around all of these middle-aged just adults. But it's been great at these conferences, seeing all these women around here. It's great to see a lot of these role models.
Oh, it's amazing. It's fun stuff. You know, you said something when you talked about what the best college teachers do, and I apologize for my voice. It's from teaching on the range for 2.5 days. But reading that book, I was surprised when in my cohort, I was surprised that was one of the books we were going to read. And yet for me, that during my time in the cohort, at that time, that was my favorite book out of all the books we read.
Yeah.
And I loved how Mr. Ken talked about that. You know, the best college teachers are active and accomplished scholars. They wrestle with some of the deep questions and some of the controversies of their field. And one of the things I like thinking about are what are some of the controversies that instructors in this field should wrestle with.
Right.
Because it's good to know some of those things. It gives you a little bit of background and moving forward. But we do read some interesting books during the course of the cohort. But,
We do.
I love that you mentioned Mr. Ken's book, because that's a great book.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about that book was, I think that was the first book we read
You're
in
right.
our
Good
cohort, and that was my least favorite book for a while, because the way he types and writes, it just, I almost need a different type of instructor teaching me that same thing to kind of get it to me, because I've been homeschooled all my life. I don't have that academic.
Well, you're not,
I don't follow along with the academic speak as well.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You also, as a homeschooler, I think, at least in my experience, when I was in school, I felt like the only way I could learn is if there was somebody telling it to me or showing it to me. As a child, it wasn't until I, was off on my own and ended up going to college after a while that I realized, wow, I actually learn best when I'm figuring this stuff out for myself, or when a teacher would ask me a question and then send me off to go find the answer to that.
Yep.
And I think that one of the neat things I think about some homeschool kids, you for sure, that's spent enough time around, you know this, but man, you get your own questions and you want to know the answers to them, and you go find those answers wherever you need to go find them. And that's awesome. I think that makes such a quality instructor that's willing to go and dig deep and look for the answers to their own questions, so they can then help their students, because some of the questions that you've had are the same questions that some of your students are going to have.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see the contrast of how I was viewing that book while I was reading it versus after, because I was thinking, man, this information is so important. I have to be able to absorb this, and I had to really focus in, and then by the end of it, that was my favorite book, because it showed me that there is a way for me to teach what I'm going to teach, and it was good to be able to kind of be sent off and go work with my other cohort mates and work on different problems and wrestle with those deep problems kind of together. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. I appreciate that you said that I do have a seat at this table, because you do. And I'm so thankful that you recognize that. And we need more people that look different than the other people that have, that we normally think of when we look at this industry. We need people that are of different sizes and shapes and backgrounds. And I think the more of that, the better. The more diversity that we have in this industry, the better, which makes it better for everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right. In your eyes, what are some of the essential qualities of an outstanding instructor?
Ooh. I think one of the most outstanding qualities that I've personally witnessed, and I've seen Chris Bean do it.
Yep.
I've seen Brian Hill do it. I've seen all of those guys do it. And I almost don't even know how to put into words what they're doing. But it seems like they can look into your soul, and they really just take on whatever hurdle you're trying to jump for their own. And they're like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight until I can get you past this hurdle. It's that I have absolutely got my students back, and I am going to help them get through this.
Yep.
I was just talking to somebody else about how after Brian Hill's deliberate coaching class that me and you got to take together, which is so much fun.
It's awesome.
we went up to him afterwards and we both had about 30 or 40 questions and we kept him for probably 2 hours after the class just sitting there just spewing hypotheticals with him because we had so many questions.
Yeah.
And I just think that that eagerness to learn and that eagerness to help your student, what's the word I'm thinking of? The eagerness to help the student
Achieve what they want to achieve, and reach
yeah.
their goals and reach that next milestone.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So I think those would probably be the most outstanding qualities, is just the ability to be able to relate to your student and to be able to take on their problems as your own.
Yep. I'm beginning to learn too that I think what we enjoy so much about Mr. Chris Bean, for example, and Mr. Brownhill, and folks like them, I would certainly throw your mom and your dad and Mr. John into that category as well, is that they're coaches. I think there's a big difference between being a trainer or a teacher and a coach.
Yep.
And it's it's the coaching, it's that heart to coach people that I just think just reaches people in a way that a teacher doesn't necessarily reach them. It's that desire to coach. I'm not articulating that well, but I know we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, and the difference between a coach and an instructor is there to teach you specific things, and so by the end of the class that instructor is hoping that you know these things, which is great and good. Coaches, they see you at your worst when you have ran down the field and ran back and you're about to throw up everywhere. They see you sweating, they see you just absolutely trying to climb over that hurdle and you might not get it, and they are standing there coaching you and saying, you have got this, you can get there, you don't need me, you can do this, and they give you the tools to do it.
That's the other thing. It seems like they're not spoon feeding you, they're helping you get where you'd like to go, and they're helping you do that often, I think, by helping you get answers to your own questions. And so they don't have this agenda. They want to know what your agenda is and where you want to be. And,
they're teaching students, not teaching stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
All right, last question, young lady. Here we go. What is an area of the training industry that you are excited about or looking forward to?
Right. Well, here back in 2020, right when, the height of, I don't know about the height of COVID, but right when it was all starting, there was, I think, 9 million brand new gun owners. And that is people who had never bought a gun for themselves before. And in 2021, that number kept going up, and I'm sure it kept going up in 2022 and probably even now. Now it's probably settling down a little bit, but there are so many brand new students that don't even know they're students yet. They think that they've bought a gun and that they can protect themselves, and now they're safe. And put it in my purse and I'm good.
Here, throw it in the closet and never look at it again.
Yep. Keep it in my car. And there's so many people that have the tools, but don't necessarily even know about the skills that they need. I mean, we've been teaching sniper pistol on the range all weekend, and then Kaery went and taught expert witness class, and so then we completely changed gears, and now we're talking about laws and stuff. And a lot of those students, I think 9 out of probably 15 of those students have been in our live fire classes all weekend, and they had no idea about any of this, and they were so eager to learn about all of it, and they wanted to know exactly what the jurisdiction is to be able to defend themselves.
And what are those parameters? Use of force, and when can I do that? When is it justified? When is it? And what are the guidelines or rules of engagement, if you will?
Yeah. I remember one of the first big professional classes that I've taken was Masad Ayub Mag 40. And that was right when I was 18. That was super, super fun. It was me and my dad, and I lost my train of thought with that.
Sorry, we were talking about how they didn't know the parameters. Students didn't know the
Right,
parameters.
I was 18. I didn't know about any of these laws or parameters or anything. So I'm sitting there and listening to these 40 hours worth of videos, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking. This guy teaches this so much that he has to have videos so he doesn't have to say the same thing over and over and over again 52 times a year. I can really learn from this guy. And I think I wrote down probably 40. I wrote down
Oh,
a whole book
I
in my
believe it.
back book.
I totally believe it.
Yep. I could have written a book on just the notes that
Yeah.
I took during
Yep.
his class. It was such an amazing, eye-opening experience because I didn't know that I even had a leg to stand on for defending myself. I was thinking, okay, well, if I have to use my gun to shoot somebody, I'm probably going to end up in jail. Like, I can't really articulate myself enough to be able to get myself out of that situation.
Or even just to be
And
able to clearly explain,
what was
and
happening.
how much do you explain initially?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we can't say absolutely nothing, as Mr. Moss says, but we have to say something. But what do we say, and how do we not say too much? How do we say the right amount?
Right.
Because if we say too much, that can be full of incorrect information because our brain hasn't consolidated and assimilated those memories and made sense of what just happened to us.
Right, yeah. So one of the biggest takeaways the biggest takeaway from Asad Ayoub's class was CYA, can you articulate? And I don't know if you guys have been watching the Range Monkey series that long, but I hope I've gotten a little bit better at articulating myself
You do a great
ever
job.
since him. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to be able to kind of be that eye-opening person because a lot of these new gun owners are young women who, maybe they don't have somebody, their husband or boyfriend or whatever,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't carry a gun, and
Sure.
so they feel like they need to take it into their own hands, which they do. And I would love to be able to be the one that teaches them those parameters and teach them that they are worth defending. You are worth defending, and so is your family. Here's how to do that.
And we have more women. We've had a couple this weekend that they are the primary agent in their own rescue, not for themselves, but also for their family.
As they should be.
Yeah, their husband, boyfriend, whatever. We've had a couple gals say that he wants nothing to do with guns. And they decided that they need to do that. We have a gal here who picked up her grandson to bring him so that he could come and learn about guns. And she is the primary protector. Now she's teaching her grandchildren how to do that, which is pretty
I love
awesome.
that.
So,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Go her.
Exactly. Well, thanks for your time, Nat.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. It's
absolutely.
been fun to be with you this weekend. And thanks for your conversation here about the Active Self-Protection Instructor Certification Program. If you have any questions about that, we'd love to talk to you about it. You can find more information on the Active Self-Protection website, which is just activeselfprotection.com. And up in the main menu at the top, it says Train With Us. And if you click on that, there's a link to more information about instructor certification.
Yep.
All
I
right.
cannot recommend it enough. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.